For listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Michelle, and for the next hour I will be reading from the January 18th issue of the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News and the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Cover story: Where should we eat? Our food writer couldn't settle on just 25 of Buffalo's Niagara's best restaurants, so here are 40 of her top picks by Francesca Bond. It started with a request to name Buffalo's 25 best restaurants. Then I made a list. I began with the restaurants I could think of off the top of my head, a sign that they're memorable, though skewed with bias towards my neighborhood, my tastes. Then I spent a few hours bopping around the internet, reading about restaurants that other people consider to be the best. Then I told people about my difficult task, and here I play a tiny violin, and asked them what should be on the list. My list was enormous. Buffalo has a lot of great restaurants, but you already knew that. And what does it mean to be the best anyway? Everyone has a different idea of best. Our tastes are all wildly different. Our experiences differ. I may have had several wonderful meals somewhere, but one time you found a hair in your food, or your server was having a bad day, and you had a disappointing and possibly quite expensive dinner. That place is the best? You may explain in outrage. I don't know that I believe anyone is the best at anything ever. Everyone is capable of dazzling and fizzling off days and bad ideas, wrong decisions, and over or under seasoning, but I can endorse the usefulness of a list like this. The point of this list is not to pit restaurants against each other. It's not to snub someone's livelihood. It's simply a resource for readers to reference when they're choosing a restaurant. Still, what do I mean by best? I didn't include businesses that are primarily cafes, bars, or bakeries, nor did I include restaurants that serve mostly takeout and don't have a comfortable dining room. The list is diverse. It covers many cuisines and price ranges. There are restaurants with abundant vegan, vegetarian, halal, and gluten-free options. It is obviously not all white tablecloths and steak dinners. Most cravings and budgets are accommodated within this list. I set out to name Buffalo's 25. Right now, as you can see, this list has 40. It could be much longer. How lucky we are to live in such a wonderful food city, a city whose restaurant landscape has exploded within the past couple of decades, where you can travel the world's cuisine within a 15-minute radius. What follows are 40 great restaurants. Happy eating. Almaza Grill, Transit Road, East Amherst. Almaza Grill serves the kind of food you'll feel comfortable eating every day for its nutrition and flavor. Find Lebanese classics. Bar Bill Tavern, Main Street, East Aurora, and Clarence. Bar Bill shines when it comes to the local specialties, from wings served like a sunburst around a tub of blue cheese to hand-carved beef on wick. It's where Josh Allen eats wings. Beacon Grill, Allen Street. The Argentinian-style wood-fired grill blazes in the open kitchen. Black Iron Bistro, Delaware Avenue. From a modern dining room in Kenmore with a leather wraparound booth facing marble state tables, Chef Brian McCosey serves a 4-course feast of the unknown, with beverage pairings to each guest. Bratz Hill, Seneca Street. With Bratz Hill, Jamaican immigrant Darian Bryan wanted to do something rare: Caribbean fine dining. Buffalo Tikka House, Main Street. At the tip of Allentown, across from the medical campus, is a spacious Bangladeshi Indian restaurant serving an enormous, inclusive menu of dishes. Carmelo's Coat of Arms, Center Street, Lewiston. Founded by an Italian immigrant in 1980, the family-run Lewiston restaurant is a trusted source for handmade pasta. Chris's New York Sandwich Company, Delaware Avenue. For 34 years, Chris Vendetti has fueled downtown with his enormous sandwiches and salads. Cocoa Bar and Bistro, Main Street. Veteran restaurateur Maura Crawford, who spent her early adulthood traveling around Europe, brings casual French dining to Main Street at Coco's. Coco stands out for its mussels and frittatas, a combination as good as peanut butter and jelly. Daniela, Forest Avenue. Another intimate Italian spot, Daniela skews lighter and airier with a focus on pinza, a flatbread-style pizza dating back to ancient Rome. Ditando, Seneca Street. Not many family restaurants make it for 4 generations, but the Ditando family's Italian restaurant underwent a complete overhaul for a new life at nearly 100 years old. 4th-generation owner Rita Ditando, following a decade of living abroad in Italy, moved back to Buffalo with her husband, Italian chef Fabio Canzani, to open a chic Italian restaurant that uses local, simple ingredients and evergreen flavor combinations. The Eagle House, just shy of 200 years old, the Eagle House embraces its history by bringing diners comfortably back in time. It feels unique with its working fireplace, wallpaper, and relics of the past. Elm Street Bakery, Elm Street, East Aurora. It is difficult to feel anything but grateful to be alive on a bright Saturday morning when the sun's beaming through Elm Street Baker's paned windows casts a pink glow over your smoked salmon. The seasonal menu mirrors the subtle changes in your own taste. Fairbanks, Center Street, Lewiston. From the team behind Allentown's Billy Club, Fairbanks quickly emerged as one of the more exciting places to have dinner in Western New York. Falafel Bar, Sheridan Drive, Amherst. Chef Oded Ravinpour, an Israeli immigrant who studied culinary arts in New York City before moving to Buffalo, has polished his menu over decades of running local restaurants. The Grange Community Kitchen, Main Street, Hamburg. After 9 years of business, the Grange knows what it does well. Its dining room, minimalist with blonde wood and white walls, leans into the see-and-be-seen appeal of going out to eat. Home Taste, Delaware Avenue, Kenmore, and a small and homey dining room with black and white checkered floors and walls adorned with helpful photos of the food. Home Taste serves authentic, mostly northern Chinese cuisine, not the predictable American Chinese menu. International House, 5 immigrant-run restaurants serving different cuisines, Burmese, Thai, Ethiopian, Filipino, Mexican, and South Sudan, share a communal dining room in the heart of the theater district. International House looks like a trendy food court. In a way, it is. Cooney's on Lexington Avenue. It's an intimate dining room. Chefs command the back wall, preparing sushi at an open counter like performers on a stage. The rest of the restaurant is filled with a handful of usually full tables, a small bar, and a few front row seats at the chef's counter. The food is authentically Japanese. La Verde Cafe, East Lovejoy. Vivian Robinson, a pastor and owner of La Verde Cafe, serves the plate barbecue classics such as burnt ends, brisket, and pulled pork, with sides such as creamy Gouda mac and cheese and sweet, spicy bourbon yams. Back at its original Lovejoy location, the soul food and barbecue restaurant is also, in the words of Robinson, a place of refuge. Las Puertas, Rhode Island Street. Victor Pera Gonzalez keeps his West Side restaurant nimble. He serves a 5 to 7 course tasting menu that changes every 5 weeks, reflecting seasonal flavors in his signature highbrow Mexican restaurant. The food is beautifully served, a sculptured ceramics handmade in Ellicottville. Mazai Mexican Kitchen. If Tex-Mex is what North French Road, East Amherst. If Tex-Mex is what you want, then you can get a quality order of queso or sizzling fajitas at Maizal. If you'd like a more authentic Mexican meal, then choose from the restaurant's Oaxacan menu. Marble plus Rye, Genesee Street. In downtown Buffalo, Chef Michael Dimmer has earned a reputation for his tight menu inspired by various national and international cuisines, including deep dish, Detroit-style pizza, Indian Cana, masala pizza, Argentinian chimichurri dipped crispy potatoes, and an all-American grass-fed cheeseburger. Mira, Elmwood Avenue. Opened this fall in the renovated former Panos Greek Diner in the Elmwood Village, Mira serves upscale Mediterranean food in a gorgeous dining room with wood-paneled walls, warm lighting, and luxurious booths. Moriato Meats and Cafe Bar. A slice of Spain in Buffalo, the Moriato Meats Cafe feeds tasty tapas to diners on a bright and laid-back dining room. Oliver's, Delaware Avenue. At 89 years old, Oliver's is a local institution. It's a white tablecloth fine dining restaurant without any stuffiness. Its food pushes the boundaries while still staying firmly within them. Farm's Kitchen, Union Road, Cheektowaga. Husband and wife restaurant is Vincent Pham and Ngoc Lan Nguyen are most known for their authentic Vietnamese banh mi served on plush and crunchy homemade bread. Pizzeria Florian, Main Street, East Aurora. Amanda Jones and Jay Langfielder, former owners of Jay's Artesian Pizza, have been making pizza in East Aurora for the last 2 years. The Place, Lexington Avenue. The Place's long history as a neighborhood tavern is honored by current owner Jason McCarthy, who renovated the restaurant a decade ago, holding on to its nostalgic character while modernizing it to make it a popular restaurant across generations. Prescott's Provisions, Niagara Street. Along the Erie Canal, Chef Vinnie Thompson has built a reputation at Prescott's Provisions for delivering on an ambitious menu that keeps its finger on the pulse of what locals want to eat. Restaurant Lombardo's, Hurdle Avenue. For 50 years, the Lombardo family has anchored North Buffalo with its Italian food. For a well-executed fine dining experience, Lombardo is a dependable choice. Southern Junction, Connecticut Street. By marrying the flavors of his childhood in India with his obsession for Texas barbecue, Chef Ryan Fernandez invented a new contribution to the food world with Southern Junction. Swan Street Diner, Swan Street. Swan Street Diner treats traditional dining fare savory, sweet, and perfect like a gourmet cuisine. The Terrace at Delaware Park, Lincoln Parkway. Overlooking Hoyt Lake, the Marcy Casino is the perfect place for a restaurant. The patio's views, which could be enjoyed year-round thanks to a heated enclosure, expand the experience of going out to dinner by turning it in the theater of regular daily life into a show. Waxlight Bar and Inn, Chandler Street. Inside Waxlight's blue dining room, where candles flicker warm light into the diners' faces, plates of creative, ever-changing foods slide onto the tables. West Side Bazaar. Within a modern 2-story food hall on the west side, you'll find immigrant-run restaurant kiosks that serve Afghan Congolese, Egyptian, Jamaican, Korean, Lao, Puerto Rican, and soul food. The West Side Bazaar operates under a fast casual model, so customers order at the counter of each of the restaurants and then wait with a buzzer until it's time to retrieve your food. Yali's African restaurant, Kenmore Ave. From Ghanaian immigrants Patrick Obapong and Ophelia Ambrose, Yali's brings West African staples to Tonawanda. Yemen Star, Sycamore Street. Traditional Yemeni stews, breakfasts like shishaki and plates of slow-roasted lamb and smoked mendi chicken are on the menu for dine-in and takeout at the Yemen Star. Zambistros, Main Street, Medina. Nestled along the border of rural Orleans and Niagara counties, the village of Medina has grown into a food destination. Zoe's Restaurant, Transit Road, East Amherst. Zoe's Restaurant is not a Greek diner, or at least it is not only a Greek diner. Owner Alex Pozandikis has spent his life since peeling potatoes at his family restaurant at age 6 in Greek diners, and he serves all the favorites at Zoe's. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the January 18th issue of the Sunday Gusto. Music. Judged by its cover, new Grammy category honors album art and the artists who make it, by Elise Ryan. When it came time to decide the cover image for Wet Leg's sophomore album, the British indie rock band packed items that might provide inspiration. Velvet worms sewn by guitarist Hester Chambers, an oversized head of hair from a music video shoot, lizard-like gloves, and headed to an Airbnb. I wanted it to be something that was both super girly and feminine, but then at the same time just totally repulsive, said lead singer Rhiannon Teasdale, who art directed the moisturizer cover with Iris Loves and Lever LaRue. That juxtaposition, I don't know. It just creates something that's evocative. The final image, inspired by a photo from that weekend, earned Teasdale, Lewis, and LaRue a Grammy nomination for Best Album Cover, a category that will be awarded this year for the first time in over 50 years. The other evocative covers nominated are Bad Bunny's Debbie Tiar Mesa Photos, Tyler, The Creators, Chroma Key Perfume Genius, Glory, and JoJo's The Cruise. The award goes to the project's art directors. This year, the recording artists are included as nominees in all cases except for Glory. Capturing an Energy. The defining portrait of Chumcopia, a monochrome close-up of Tyler, face concealed by a mask, was the last shot captured. Luis Ponce Perez, the director of photography, said the expression in Tyler's eyes stood out. Getting there, he said, required tapping into a shared unspoken language, built by pulling references for the project's surrealist, old Hollywood aesthetic and by years of collaboration. Tyler knows exactly how to move his body. He's so in control of that. I just have to be ready for whatever he's going to do in front of the lens. New BTS album coming in March after long hiatus, by Maria Sherman. After a nearly 4-year musical hiatus, the K-pop giants BTS are back. Well, almost. On Thursday morning, the entertainment company Brit Hit Music shared on social media that the septet RM, Jimin, V, Suga, Jungkook, and J-Hope will release a new album on March 20th titled Airy Rang. It is their 5th album. In addition to the news of the album title, the retailer Target announced it was partnering with BTS for exclusive pre-order editions of Airy Rang. Starting at 9 Eastern on Thursdays, fans can pre-order 10 different vinyl album editions, and for fans of CDs, There are 2 exclusive editions with collectible photo cards. Things to do. Idol winner comes to town. Disney on Ice returns by Tony Roberto. It hadn't been done before on American Idol, a show where contestants put their own spin on well-known songs by popular artists. Instead, charismatic country singer Chase Beckham sang one of his new own songs for the season 19 finale, and it paid off big when he was voted the winner. It wasn't the first time he sang an original song that season. He had earlier brought the judges and his mother to tears with a poignant rendition of his song Mama. Then, for the finale, he chose another powerful song he wrote called 23. It was a winner, and 23 later became a #1 on country radio. It's also on his debut album Bad for Me, which Beckham calls a collection of his favorite songs. This album doesn't just tell any story, it tells mine, and it's all honest and true to my life in every way possible. Beckham will perform at 7 p.m. Thursday at the Town Ballroom, Main Street. Amid in Western New York. Through February 27th in Hallwell's Contemporary Art Center, Delaware Avenue. This regional survey exhibition doesn't have a traditional theme or a focus of one work per artist. Here's how it works. Curators John Massier and Kyle Butler take what they know about regional artists to plan a series of visits to their studios. This allows them to get a better understanding of the artists and what they are working on now. The 2026 edition, the 13th since the event started in 2015, includes large-scale paintings, documentary photographs, abstract sculptures, abstracted architectural paintings, video-based sculpture, and modular cutouts by artists Quade Baker, Emma Britton, Robert Finn, Christy Francis, Susan Giallo-Bardo, Polly Little, Thomas Martis, Silas Rubeck, Kathleen Chandro, Mark Taylor, and Rebecca Wing. Shay's Family Film Series, Sunday in Shay's Buffalo Theater, Main Street. For this entry in the free film series, there are 2 separate movies. The Parent Trap screens at 11 and The Goonies at 4. Doors open an hour before each showing. Get your free ticket online at shays.org for one or both films. Barrel Jam Beer Fest, 2 to 5 Saturday at North Brewing, Pine Street, East Aurora. A cool celebration of barrel-aged beer and winter sports returns to 42 North, just off Main Street in East Aurora, with activities in and outside the brewery. You'll get a souvenir glass to sample offerings on the brew campus from local and national breweries. Holiday Valley hosts a rail jam freestyle competition behind the brewery, and there will be vendors and music by the Funk Knights. Participating breweries include Ellicott Brewing Company, Eli Fish, Brewery Omegang, Jack's Abbey, Wild Beast, 1911, Myers Creek, Drowned Lands, Brewery Ardennes, Prison City, and 42 North. Disney on Ice presents Frozen and Encanto, Thursday through Sunday at the KeyBank Center. Mickey and Minnie host another visit to Buffalo for Disney on Ice, this time bringing Anna, Elsa, Mirabelle, and other Disney friends. For Frozen, Olaf narrates the story of Anna searching for Elsa with Olaf. Kristoff and Sven encountering winter conditions as they race to bring summer back to Arendelle. For Encanto, Mirabelle tries to save her magical family home with help from her sisters Isabella and Louisa. Be prepared to sing along with your favorite songs. Note that while little ones are encouraged to wear their princess gowns and other outfits, costumes are not permitted for ages 14 and older. Shows are at 7 p.m. Thursday and Friday, 11, 3, and 7 Saturday, 11 and 3 Sunday. Only Human 40th Anniversary Concert, 4 p.m. Thursday, the Kaz on Seneca Street. For 40 years, the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame band Only Human has been a mainstay in the Buffalo music scene, entertaining crowds at a variety of local venues and sharing the stage with nationally renowned musical acts. For this anniversary concert, co-founders Only Frank on bass and Ray Wood on guitar, along with drummer Bob Mazursky, will welcome past band members to join them on stage. Doors open at 5:30. Quick calendar. DJ Pauly D, 7 p.m. Friday at the Electric City, Pearl Street. 10 Cent Howl, 4 p.m. Saturday at the Buffalo Distilling on Seneca Street. Shrek the Musical continues in Shays Buffalo Theater through next Sunday. Just announced. North Guthrie's, 8 p.m. February 10th at the 9th Ward at Bayville, Delaware Avenue. The Floyd Concept, 8 p.m. March 21st in Ashbury Hall, Bayville. Band of Horses, 8 p.m. April 19th, Electric City. Montgomery Gentry featuring Eddie Montgomery, 7:30 August 6th at the West Her Riviera Theater, North Tonawanda. Rock the Country Festival, September 11th and 12th at the Hamburg Fairgrounds. Kid Rock, Hank Williams Jr., Chris Jansen, Gavin Adcock, Nelly, Shenandoah, Josh Ross, Cole Goodwin, Sadie Bass, the Jack Wharf Band, Sons of Habit, Dalton Davis, Joe Jordan, Connor Hicks, Kenny Whitmire, Emmy Moyen, and Charlie Prince. Riviera Theater, West Her. Furious, coming in August 8th. George Michael, Reborn, February 7th. Close to You, The Carpenters, February 13th. Wizard of Oz on Ice, February 14th. Pearl Jamming, February 27th. Outlaw State of Mind, Chris Stapleton Tribute, March 6th. The Celtic Tenors, March 16th. Upstage, Free Silent Film, accompanied by Bruce Woody, March 22nd. Sticky Sweet, a tribute to Def Leppard, March 27th. Just Like Pink, March 28th. Strangelove, April 4th. The McCartney Experience, April 11th. Simply the Best, a tribute to Tina Turner, April 17th. Mutt's Gone Nuts, May 3rd. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the January 18th issue of the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News and the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Streaming. Movies. James Sweeney's Twinless, an award-winning standout at last year's Sundance Film Festival, arrives January 16th on Hulu. In it, Sweeney stars alongside Dylan O'Brien as two young men who become friends after meeting at a twin bereavement support group. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are together again, this time in Miami in The Rip, January 16th on Netflix. The Boston-bred stars are directed by Joe Carnahan in an action thriller about a group of Miami police officers whose bonds begin to fray after they discover millions in cash in a derelict stash house. The supporting cast includes Stephen Yeun, Tiana Taylor, and Kyle Chandler. While development and non-stop casting rumors surround the next James Bond film, all 26 of the 007 movies are coming to Netflix beginning January 15th. Though Bond is now owned and controlled by Amazon, MGM, the studio, is licensing the Bond library to Netflix to whet appetites while director Denis Villeneuve preps the first post-Daniel Craig entry in the long-running spy series. Music. It has been nearly a decade, 8 years, since ASAP Rocky released a full-length project, his third studio album titled Testing, back in 2018. The wait is finally over, January 16th, when he drops Don't Be Dumb. The first official taste of the release comes courtesy Punk Rocky, a restrained alt-rock song built atop a dream pop riff, and Rocky alternating between a reverberated chorus and melodramatic flows. The pop R&B vocalist Madison Beer returns with her third LP, Locket, also on January 16th. It may prove to be her strongest output to date. Bittersweet plays to her strengths, recalling a soft-balled Ariana Grande. Others confirm the current cultural moment as post-Brat, like the pop-propulsive electro-pop single Yes Baby and the slightly sinister 15 Minutes. Could this be the album that sends Beer to the next level? Only time will tell. For the electricists, reading along, avant-garde experimentalists Juliana Barwick and Mary Lattimore have teamed up for the collaborative album Tragic Magic. The two composers improvising and weaving into one another, Lattimore with her harps and Barwick with her synthesizers. Together they form a kind of poetry. Series. Will Smith takes viewers on a trip to all 7 continents in his new National Geographic docuseries, Pole to Pole with Will Smith. This is not your average travel show. It's taken 5 years to complete, and Smith visits the jungles of the Amazon, skis in the South Pole, and climbs the Himalayas. The 7-episode series debuts January 13th and streams next day on Disney Plus and Hulu. A funny meme circulated last summer about Prime Video's The Summer I Turned Pretty that essentially said, if you think the Jeremiah character is a bad boyfriend, you haven't seen the character Stephen DeMarco of Hulu's Tell Me Lies. See for yourself just how toxic he is in the show's 3rd season, debuting January 13th. It follows a group of sort of friends during 2 timelines at college, and then 6 years later at 20-somethings. Grace Van Patten and Jackson White star. Idris Elba saved the day during the hijacking on a plane in Season 1 of Hijack for Apple TV. In Season 2, out January 14th, his character is scarred from the events of Season 1, but he finds himself in another hostage situation on a train. An adaptation of the Seven Dials mystery, a 1929 Agatha Christie novel, lands on Netflix on January 15th. It's about a young, wealthy woman investigating a murder at a party in the English countryside. Agatha Christie's Seven Dials is a three-part series and stars Helena Bonham Carter, Martin Freeman, and Mia McKenna Bruce. Amelia Clark and Haley Lou Richardson co-star in a new thriller called Ponies for Peacock. Out January 15th, the pair play two women living in a mundane life in the Soviet Union in the 1970s, as their husbands are CIA operatives. When they both find themselves widowed, they get thrust into the action. New Game of Thrones prequel is Light, Refreshing Fare by Mark Mesdoris. Originally, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms was to land on TV screens in mid-2025. The gods had other ideas. This third HBO series, set in the world that author George Martin introduced with his Song of Ice and Fire collection of fantasy novels, finally arrives this week, mere months before the highly anticipated return of the second House of the Dragon in the summer. While Dragon is much like Game of Thrones, the beloved, until it wasn't, adaptation of A Song of Ice and Fire, an hour-long series chock full of drama, scheming, battles, magic, and of course dragons. Night is a small-scale half-hour affair, largely grounded in reality, while still taking place in the realm of Westeros. Look at it as an appetizer for the meal that will be this third season of Dragon. Night is based on Martin's Tales of Dunk and Egg novellas, with this first 6-episode season an adaptation of 1998's The Hedge Knight. Dunk is the titular figure on that book. In the TV series, the towering Sir Duncan the Tall, played by Peter Claffrey, while Egg, played by Dexter Sol Ansel, is a diminutive boy who comes to squire for him. Their adventures take place about a century after the events being chronicled in Dragon and about 100 years before those of Thrones. It's a time when the winged, fire-breathing creatures are thought to be extinct, and one of relative peace in the realm's 7 kingdoms, or 9, depending on how you are counting. Showrunner Ira Parker, who has produced and written on Dragon, is the writer or co-writer of each Night installment, helping to lend it in an unmistakable consistency. We are introduced to Dunk as he buries the Hedge Knight for whom he squired, Sir Arlen of Pennytree, played by Danny Webb, and who Dunk will come to insist knighted him shortly before dying. Not long after this, we watch as he relieves himself, no sigh, the second one, behind a tree, the camera still able to catch much of the glory. Man, it's great to be back in Westeros. Unable to conjure a more promising plan, the near coinless Dunk decides to ride for Ashford Meadow, soon to be the site of a tournament where he intends to compete in a jostling event. Along the way, of course, he encounters Egg, who asks to be his squire. Dunk initially rejects this idea, but soon relents, allowing the lad to be his aide and promising to keep him fed, if not much beyond that, in exchange. To compete, Dunk must convince others he's a knight, if only a hedge knight, a class of wandering warriors who, we learn, often must sleep in the hedges because no lord will have them. In this pursuit, he meets men with important last names, such as charismatic enjoyer of life Lionel Barthelone, played by Daniel Ings, and Prince Baelor Breakspear Targaryen, played by Bertie Carvel, the heir to the all-important Iron Throne in King's Landing. The latter is unlike some other powerful members of his family, not just because he's short, dark hair, but also because he's thoughtful, measured, and kind. Dunk's life is complicated when he runs afoul of one of Baylor's nephews, Prince Arian's Bright Flame, Tarragon, played by Finn Bennett, son of Maker Tarragon, played by Sam Spruill. Baylor's younger brother, Dunk, was in the right, of course, protecting a Dornish puppeteer, Tanzell, played by Tanzan Crawford, who was having a bit of satirical fun at the Tarragon's expense, but that matters little considering the power wielded by Arian. Egg stands by Dunk, but he will need more formidable allies if he's to survive the trial to come. Night, with its basic story and Dunk's relatable values, informed by a late-season flashback episode in which a younger version of the character is portrayed by Bamber Todd during a crucial point in his adolescence in the slums of Flea Bottom, is appealing in its simplicity. That said, even with most episodes around 30 minutes, it could use a bit more excitement and action. Former rugby player Claffey is a nice find for everyman Duncan Ansell. The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, brings some clever touches to the complicated egg. However, there's more crackle to this series when it involves certain supporting players, including the aforementioned Carvel from The Crown and Ings from The Gentleman. Books. New for 2026. 25 highly anticipated titles hitting shelves this year. January. 99 Ways to Die and How to Avoid Them by Ashley Elker. Just to give you an idea of the hilarity and usefulness in store, consenting adults, it's up to you, but urine will not help a jellyfish sting. Homeschooling. Stefan Merrick Block. I get strong running with scissors vibes from this memoir by a man who wonders what life was like away from his home and the idiosyncratic guidance of his mother. The Jilted Countess by Loretta Ellsworth is billed as a novel, but is inspired by a true story. A Hungarian woman came to Minnesota to be with the man she'd fallen in love with during World War II. This is Where the Serpent Lives by Daniela Munhunden. The lives of dozens of characters intertwine in Pakistan and Munhunden's follow-up to the award-winning In Other Rooms. The Typewriter and Guillotine, Mark Braun. I'm always in the market for weird historical true crime, so sign me up for this non-fiction account of Paris on the eve of World War II. Dear Debbie by Frida McFadden. The author of The Housemaid keeps describing this thriller in which a put-upon advice columnist decides to get revenge on all who've wronged her as Unhinged, January 27th. Vigil by George Sanders. Like his Booker Prize-winning Lincoln in the Bardo, Vigil is set in a twilight world between life and death. Vigil turns on the connection between a dying oil executive and the woman charged with escorting him into the afterlife, January 27th. February books. Brawler by Lauren Gruff. I inhaled the first story in this collection from the writer of Fates and Furies. If the other 8 are anything like that barn burner about a family attempting to escape an abusive husband or dad, Brawler is going to be huge. February 24th. Kin by Tahari Jones. As in her best-selling An American Marriage, Jones explores the bond between two Southerners who love each other but have been separated for many years. In Kin, It's childhood besties whose lives took dramatically different turns. February 24th. Coming in March. A Far-Flung Life by M.L. Stedman. An enormous sheep farm in Australia is the setting for an epic novel from the author of the popular The Light Between Oceans, coming March 3rd. Mauve by Rachel Trethewey. England's mid-century Mitford sisters seems to be everywhere in the fictionalized Netflix series Outrageous, and in the charming graphic novel Do Admit for Two. Their equally outrageous mother, or Mauve, steps into the spotlight in this biography, coming March 3rd. The Shipskiska Club by Mubanga Kalimanwenko. The Mounds View, Minnesota writer's latest is a multiple perspective novel about a Zimbabwean woman on trial for her husband's murder, coming March 10th. Outside Animals by Marlene Zook. We're talking rats, raccoons, and seagulls, and Zook, who teaches ecology, evolution, and behavior at the University of Minnesota, wants us to embrace them, or at least not hate them, coming March 17th. Python's Kiss by Louise Erdrich. Kiss is a short story collection paired with art by the Pulitzer Prize-winning daughter and frequent cover designer Asa Erdrich, Abe, coming March 24th. Ghosts of 4th Street, Laurie Hetzel, subject of the former Star Tribune books editor's memoir is How Secrets Shape a Family. Specifically, it's about how her family responded to the death of her eldest brother, coming March 31st. April. London Falling by Patrick Radden Keefe. Keefe's Empire of Pain and Say Nothing are two of the most spectacular works of nonfiction of the century. Can it make it a hat trick with the story of a London teenager whose death by suicide reveals a secret life? Coming April 7th. American Fantasy, Emma Straub. The This Time Tomorrow writer's latest sounds like a banger. A middle-aged woman takes one of those music cruises where her life is transformed by a connection with a boy band singer whose music she loved as a kid. Coming April 7th. Go Gentle by Maria Semple. In the new novel from the author of Blockbuster, Where'd You Go, Bernadette, a woman has her life all figured out, content with work, family, and friends. Then she falls in love. Coming April 14th. Where is My Sister by Shannon Gibney. In this book for young readers, a family grieves after Mama goes to the hospital to give birth but comes home without a baby. Premieres April 21st. May. Patient Female by Julie Shoemaker. The author of best-selling Dear Committee Members, once dubbed the funniest person in America, takes a darker turn with a collection of short stories whose protagonists are ordinary women in extraordinary circumstances. Comes out May 5th. The Calamity Club by Catherine Stockett. The author of The Help is not a one-and-done Harper Lee, as it turns out, though it has taken her 17 years to follow up her $10 million selling debut. Like The Help, Calamity Club is set in Mississippi among a group of women who form a sisterhood. Comes out May 5th. The Things We Never Say by Elizabeth Strout. A school teacher who puts on a brave face for its students while secretly feeling alone. Sounds right in the wheelhouse of the Pulitzer Prize-winning author of Olive Kitteridge. But unlike her other books, this one is not set in Maine. Comes out May 5th. Coming in June. Land by Maggie O'Farrell. The Hamnet author returns to the history of Ireland in the story of a father and son who are surveying the country shortly after the potato famine ravaged the country. Comes out June 2nd. Whistler by Ann Patchett. A woman reestablishes a bond with her stepfather, whom she has not seen for many decades, in Patchett's first novel since Tom Lake. Comes out June 2nd. Country People, Daniel Mason. His North Woods was my favorite book of 2023, so yay, I'm psyched up about his upcoming novel, in which a family moves to Vermont and meets a bunch of eccentrics. Restaurant notes. Peach Pit's plateware perfects restaurant meals. Becca Hoppy glides her red-painted fingertips over a ceramic plate she made. It sounds like the inside of a conch shell, which famously sounds like the ocean, sort of, and looks like thin crust pizza dough smoothed into an impossibly round and flat disc. The color is hard to describe. Warmer than white, cooler than cream, less saturated than even the palest yellow. It's not a plate that asks for attention. It's more like the athlete who passes to a teammate to score the goal. The plate's understated beauty is why it gives in stacks of Restaurant Pearl Maurice, the 2 Michelin star restaurant across the border. Per Maurice sends small, artful food, a strip of venison, an apple tart with flowers, pops on Hoppy's simple plates. The food is the star, but the plate is the stage. Becca Hoppy, an artist and founder of Peach Pit Pottery, creates bespoke plateware for restaurants in her East Aurora workshop. I want it to be beautiful, but it has to make sense, Hoppy said. Hoppy makes bespoke plateware for restaurants too. Most of us don't think a ton about our plates. Mine are from a thrift store. Whether food looks especially good on them or not doesn't often occur to me. At most restaurants, plates and bowls fade into the background, which is sensible. Profit margins are already so thin. Plates break. Not everyone can afford to consider these plates. But isn't it special when restaurants do consider their plates, when food arrives looking like a painting framed in the Buffalo AKG? Restaurant news. Froth Brewing Company is closing its tap room after 7 years at Military Road on the North Buffalo Riverside border. Food events. 42 North Brewing Company's 6th annual Barrel Jam Beer Festival returns 2 to 5 January 24th. American Repertoire Theater of Western New York is hosting its 2nd annual Dungeons and Dragons Crockpot Cookout from 5 to 11 January 31st at Compass Performing Arts Center, Elmwood Avenue. Tickets are $25 and the proceeds benefit the theater. All participants are invited to sample and judge the slow cooker dishes. Participants can also reserve a spot at D&D campaign table to play. Those who bring a slow cooker or entrees to share get free entry, but still need to pay $15 to play the D&D. You have been listening to a reading of articles and features from the January 18th issue of the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News. Your reader has been Michelle. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the front section of the Sunday Times. At 2 o'clock, we have the New York Times Opinion section. And at 3 o'clock, we have the New York Times Arts and Leisure section. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. If you're listening to this publication online, you're probably using our website, a podcast player like Spotify or iTunes, a streaming service like Siro, or a smart speaker. Did you know that we now have a dedicated app that can be downloaded to any mobile device, like a smartphone or tablet, for free? App users can conveniently access our live stream and any episode of our podcast easier than ever. To download the app, just type NFRRS in the search window in the Apple App Store or in the Google Play Store. Contact us anytime if you have any questions by calling 716-821-5555, extension 5. Thank you. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. As of this year, our agency has broadcast more than 300,000 hours of radio readings. Volunteer radio readers read newspapers, magazines, and books to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. Radio Reading's broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading broadcasts from studios at 1199 Harlem Road in suburban Buffalo. Please let others know about Radio Reading. It's your service. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have